Chapter 6, Chapter 6 Death Blink. D-1020 reached out his hand slowly, making a movement that he was about to touch SCP-173 with his hand as he was curious about the statue that had been dormant for most of the time. D-1020, stop. I know what you're going to do, and if I were you, I would avoid doing that as much as I could. William shouted from afar, reminding D-1020's action. D-1020 stopped and looked at William. It's been doing nothing most of the time. I mean, as long we didn't look away or break our contact, it should be harmless, shouldn't it? In part of William's thought, he was right. As long they didn't stop looking at SCP-173, it would be harmless most of the time. But then again, William is not that type of person who would take such a risk and just play it safely so that he could get out of here. William then shouted at D-1020, "Look, man. I hate to be the one who should be saying this, but all you need to do is just clean up what's left on there, and then we can live our life for another day. Being in this room is already such a huge risk, and I don't want to risk myself to put my life even further if anything happens to you." Distancing themselves from SCP-173 is already an advantage that they have. William knew that SCP-173 could move a few meters away just with a blink. Even if the worst scenario happens, he could still save himself, given the distance between him and SCP-173. "Here, I'll do it really quickly." D-1020 while folding his sleeve, "Just a simple, nice, and quick touch, then I'll clean up quickly after this." William felt a slight annoyance about D-1020's action, but if he tries to fight over it again with him, it'll only waste more time for all of them and delay their job. D-1140 didn't dare to say a single word because William could feel that he was frantically panicking the whole time, even when he tried to tell William that he was about to blink. Nevertheless, there was no objection regarding the whole situation. D-1020 started to reach out his hand once again slowly. He was going to touch the backside of SCP-173's body with his hand. That small sense of curiosity is what drove D-1020 to do such things, and he'll find out about it by doing that. Then, he touched it. Crack. In an instant, D-1020's neck was bent. His head was fully contorted to a full 90 degrees to the side, with his bones sticking out of his throat. You could even see blood was gushing and trickling down through D-1020's neck. "Jesus fucking Christ," shouted William from a distance. He was shocked by what had just happened to D-1020. What was more concerning about it wasn't that he knew very well that D-1020 basically just challenged death, but what could possibly be the cause. Neither he nor D-1140 broke any contact with SCP-173, but it caused D-1020's neck to be snapped. What's more confusing is that SCP-173 was still in its current position and didn't make a single move at all. D-1140 screamed. He was scared of what he just saw. He fell down to his back, knowing such horror and the worst thing that could occur just happened in front of him. There's so much happening at the same time in this situation. They were doing so well until something that was unpredictable happened to all of them. This really puts William and D-1140 in a bad situation. Not only are they short on personnel, but who will replace D-1020's job now? William is thinking about a way out of the situation when suddenly he can hear D-1140 was puking on the floor. D-1140 breaks his contact with SCP-173, only leaving William, which sets his eyes straight to SCP-173 now. "What are you doing, D-1140? Manage yourself up. I can't just stare at it alone here." William shouted at D-1140, knowing he was the only one left to look at SCP-173. D-1140 is still gagging. I can't, this is too much for me. Come on. I need you right now, or both of us will end up in the same fate as that guy." Having only two person that looks at SCP-173 is already a bad thing to encounter, let alone only one person. To make things worse, there's no way for them to go or escape because they were trapped inside SCP-173's containment room. I can't. I really just can't. D-1140 stood up on his feet and then just ran to the gate's exit. He then pressed an intercom that was on the wall to tell the guards about what happened. Help. We have a problem. One of us had died. Please send someone here and evacuate us immediately. D-1140 was sending a distress signal through the intercom. He keeps pressing the button and shouting through the mic for the guards to initiate an emergency protocol in times like this. D-1140 is indeed already at his limit. On the other hand, William kept his line of vision on SCP-173 to make sure that it didn't move a bit. But his eyes started to feel sore after not blinking them for a few minutes, and he couldn't just blink because D-1140 looked away from it. D-1140, it would be very helpful if you could lend me a hand right now. I can't hold it off much longer. William kept shouting at D-1140, who was frantically screaming at the intercom for help, but there was not really much a response coming out from the other side. It was helpless as there was no response from D-1140, who were in panic. Given the distance between him and SCP-173, it should allow William to blink once before it gets too close to him. It's a gamble, but there's no other choice for him. He took a deep breath and blinked. Crack. William saw that SCP-173 had moved from its original position, but at the same time, that lousy screaming voice of D-1140 just stopped. Realizing that SCP-173 had moved to D-1140's position and broke his neck. There's only him left in the room. He miscalculated SCP-173's movement, gambled it, and lost to the point his only partner left died in the room just like D-1020. SCP-173 was standing near D-1140's body and stared at William menacingly. Their distance was not far away now, only a few meters between the two of them. Their eyes meet as they are the only two left within the room. Knowing this, William started to walk backward slowly to create distance. He arrived at the corner side of the room, near D-1020's dead, lifeless body. He wasn't sure that even at this distance could save him from SCP-173, and there were no signs of the guards coming into the room after D-1140 tried to contact them. But William was already at his limit. He needed to blink because he'd been holding it now for a few minutes. Should he gamble it again once more? Whether that SCP-173 wouldn't reach his current position by the time he finished blinking or fated to die by an SCP. Neither of them was a good option. William chooses what could be the most logical way out of them, the lesser of the two evil. He straightened himself up and took a deep breath. Then, he blinked. Creator's thoughts. Inakia. Don't forget to vote it with Power Stones and leave a comment if you like it. You can read up to 18 chapters before its release on patreon.com/Inakia and join my Discord https://discord.gg/7wezqmdti. Comment 16 comment. Vote 3 left. Chapter 7, Chapter 7 A rough first day. He blinked. But nothing really happened. William is still alive even after he blinked, but more importantly, SCP-173 doesn't go or straight move at him. Instead, it just went to the middle part of the room, facing a wall like he usually does. This confuses William. Why don't SCP-173 attack him like it snapped both of his colleagues' necks? Why did it just act neutrally and didn't even engage at him? There are so many questions as to why SCP-173's behavior at this moment. He wasn't really sure about what had just happened. He thought it was just pure luck that SCP-173 didn't act aggressively, or there could be a reason behind it. He thought about it for a moment. Could it be that SCP-173 was attacking them because it caused SCP-173 a disturbance? D-1020 touching SCP-173 and D-1140 making a lot of noise that might bother SCP-173? That probably wasn't the case because William knew that SCP-173 was extremely hostile. It would kill anyone in sight, without any exception, whether that person is disturbing SCP-173 or not. That was out of the question, but what could possibly be the real reason for it? He couldn't think of anything, and William nearly reached his limit again on holding his blink. There wasn't enough space for him to evade SCP-173 if it really started to engage at him. But, what if that's really its plan all along? When he thought about it, there's a probability that he has been outsmarted by SCP-173. Distance is the only advantage that William has. By creating a big distance between them, it would allow William to blink and open his eyes again before SCP-173 could reach him due to the speed it was moving. The bigger the distance, the better for William. But what if that distance slowly reduced to the extent that it could move anywhere it goes within that blink time window? By putting itself in the center of the room, SCP-173 could move to anywhere it wanted within that window. It might have been realized that SCP-173 wasn't able to reach him if their distance were that far. Now, SCP-173 was already in the center of the room, and William didn't have enough room for him to create a distance like before. William bit his lips, knowing that his situation got even worse than before, and there was no escape from it. Was it really the end for him? His eyes were already itching to blink. He couldn't hold it much longer. There was no other choice. He took a deep breath and then blinked again. It moved. It moved near to the wall and looked at it. It doesn't really show any aggression or interest in William after he just blinked. He was alive and well after risking his life, thinking that SCP-173 was finally going to kill him. But this doesn't explain its weird behavior of not engaging to William, and he was still confused as to why SCP-173 hadn't made any hostile action toward him, not to mean he was willing to die or asking for one. But then he thought of something that could probably be a foolish decision. He blinked once again. SCP-173 moved to another position away from William. It doesn't even look at him in the eyes. It seems to be just wandering around the containment room without even paying attention or bothering William. It was evident that SCP-173 was aware of William's existence because it can't move due to William was looking at him, and they had stared at each other before. William blinked multiple times to see SCP-173's behavior, and it was proven that SCP-173 didn't seem to pose a threat to him. It just wandered around the room mindlessly without caring about William at all. He then sighed a breath of relief, knowing that SCP-173 wasn't going to attack him. But it was a pity that two of his colleagues, D-1140 and D-1020, were brutally killed because of it. He would consider himself lucky in this situation because of how bizarre it is. Just when everything was going well, the lights above the gate were on, and the interlocks started to move to unlock the gate. It slides slowly to the side. William can see from the end of the room that a group of people is waiting for the gate to fully open. It was the security guards personnel, and there were half a dozen of them with their guns pointing at SCP-173 and William from the entrance. They were keeping their distance and sights on both of them, making sure that everything didn't go off track. One of the guards that looked like a captain in the middle of the row shouted at William, D-1092, "Move away from SCP-173 and start to walk out of the room." William was relieved that the guards came to rescue him, that the job had finished because there was a problem within SCP-173's containment room. He doesn't waste any more time and then just runs toward the guards, knowing that he'll be safe from there on. He arrived at the big room again, with guards covering him. One of the guards waved his hand, and the gate started to close. It seems that they'll be taking care of that matter later. All they had to do was to make sure everything was normal. As the gate was closed, all of the guards put their guns down and relaxed. Everything seems to be working as the emergency procedure intended. After that, some of the guards looked at D-1092, knowing he was the only sole survivor within that room. The guard's captain looked at him. "Consider yourself lucky because things could go wrong very badly," said the captain in a menacing tone. He then points to the other guards. "You two, escort him to his cell, grab another 3D class to take care of it. I'll report the situation to the boss." His hands and legs are once again cuffed and then escorted outside the room. It seems that his job for today is already done, but that was just day one. Who knows what more horrors and terrifying SCPs he had to encounter later in the future. He was walking down through the hallway guarded by 2 guards. But then he saw a weird-looking person who seemed to be covered in a lot of blood stains on his shirt and seemed anxious about his surroundings. But no one around him in the hallways seemed to be worried about him, whether that be the researchers or the guards, despite something was wrong with that person. He then tripped over something on his walk, lost his balance, and knocked his head into a wall near William. He fell down to the ground, with blood gushing through his head. William took the initiative to stop and help the man get onto his knees. "Hey, are you okay? You don't look too good," asked William to the man. The man then looked at him and grabbed his hand. "Yeah, I'm fine. It's nothing to worry about. It's always been like this." William saw from close that the man had a lot of stitches and even zippers on his body. It was pretty bizarre. "Are you sure?" he then asks again. "No worries, I can take care of myself. Thanks for worrying." Both of them stood up from the ground. Somehow, the wound on the man's head was gone, and the blood stopped flowing. As if nothing really happened. Creator's thoughts. Inakia. Don't forget to vote it with Power Stones and leave a comment if you like it. You can read up to 18 chapters before its release on patreon.com/Inakia and join my Discord https://discord.gg/7wezqmdti. Comment 7 comment. Vote 3 left. Chapter 8, Chapter 8 Voice from the Wall. William stood up and asked the man that has just fallen from his knees. He asked, "Are you sure? You don't look like you're doing fine." The man patted his shoulders and adjusted his clothes. Despite his bloody appearance, it doesn't seem like that man was bothered with it. As if the blood that was painted all over his clothes were normal. But there was something that caught William's attention while looking at his appearance. It seems that the man has a zipper on his chest. "Yeah, I'm fine. I was just not careful enough with my steps and fell. I'm not really used to this place, so I need to adapt here. But thank you," the man said. William doubted that this man was okay not only based on his appearance but also from what had just happened. He fell really hard, even banging his head on the wall and leaving some of his blood on it, which indicates that it was hard enough to injure him in the head. "But your head? It's fine. It'll recover itself in no time." He was confused about the situation. But there was really not much he could do nor complain about it. That person was really fine about his condition. "Keep on moving, D1092. We don't have all day." One of the guards instructed William to move on. After all, he was being escorted to his cell so that he'll take a rest and wait for another duty call to take care of another SCP. He will need as much rest before another tiring activity again. "You should go. Thank you for being considerate about me." The man reached out his hand, hinting that he wanted to give William a handshake. "Yeah, take care and be careful next time." They both shook their hand and parted ways. William then followed one of the guards' lead again toward his cell. But there was one thing that really bugged him with the guards and what had just happened to that man. The guards didn't seem to be weirded out or care about that man, as if nothing significant had happened. As he walked through the hallway, he pondered who that man was and why the guards or anyone around it didn't seem surprised enough that he had fallen from his step and got himself injured. William then asked one of the guards about it. "What was the deal with that guy? I mean, he looked injured, and you guys act like it was something normal to see here." The guards in front of him laughed for a bit and then answered his question, "Since you just arrived here, you probably never met him before. But that's SCP-415. He's allowed to wander around here, and he has a tendency to fall into an accident due to his characteristics. Don't worry about it. He can take care of himself most of the time." SCP-415 classified as a safe class SCP, he is kept in a living quarter and allowed to wander around due to his cooperative behavior. SCP-415 is a 36 years old Caucasian male, has blue eyes and brown hair. He has an average IQ and a normal personality, but he is nervous around medical equipment and personnel. SCP-415 possesses a regenerative healing anomaly that could regenerate skin tissues and body organs, some of which were the stomach, liver, pancreas, spleen, etc. He could also regenerate bones faster in his body but slower than his organ regeneration rate. He could also survive with organs that have been completely damaged or removed, and the organs that were missing or damaged will be regenerated in a period of time. SCP-415 could survive any physical injury that damaged his body, but not illnesses such as common cold and influenza that could still affect him like any normal human would do. Heard from the guard that the person before was actually SCP-415. William was a bit relieved knowing that he'll be alright later on and understood why the guards would act as if nothing happened because he can take care of himself and has regenerative abilities that are useful for his own. William was really surprised by the fact that there are a lot of SCP in here, by the looks of it. He pondered which site this could be. There are many SCP Foundation sites, hundreds even. But he didn't have a clue where he was right now, nor knew what site currently he stayed in. He then arrived at the dormitory once again. There was only silence, and it felt like a jail. Everyone must have either resting or taking their time left before they got a call from the Foundation, and it'll be the last time for them to enjoy it. He was once again placed in his cell, and his door was locked. It seems that they're relentlessly treating D-Class to only work on their behalf by interacting or taking care of the SCP most of the time. After all, D-Class personnel are destined to die. They were nothing but cannon fodder. William sat on the bed. He was feeling really tired, both physically and mentally. Because he had just survived and escaped a death-defying experience on his first day in the SCP Foundation, and he was lucky enough to be able to get out from there. He might have used all of his luck for this month. He wasn't sure how will he get out of this situation because he couldn't just live the rest of his life becoming D-Class personnel. He read about the rumors that Foundation likes to terminate a D-Class personnel once every month. He doesn't know for sure how D-Class is being managed in this world, but what's certain is that no matter how it goes, it would end badly for him. There was a knock on his door, and the chute on below was opened. There was a meal for him to consume that was given by the guards. As if he had a choice, he grabbed the meal to keep his stomach full because he was hungry and hadn't eaten any food since he came here. He started eating the meal and choked because he was eating too fast. He then took a sip of water to clear his throat and waited for a moment before continuing. Just before he wanted to take another spoon of the meal, a voice from the walls could be heard. "What a tough first day for you in here, ain't it, kiddo?" Creator's thoughts. Inakia. Don't forget to vote it with Power Stones and leave a comment if you like it. You can read up to 18 chapters before its release on patreon.com/Inakia and join my Discord https://discord.gg/7wezqmdtie. Comment 8 comment. Vote 3 left. Chapter 9, Chapter 9 Wounded. William heard someone was talking through the wall next to him, a voice that he didn't recognize at all. It should be another D-Class that was placed next to his cell. The voice was slightly hoarse and a bit heavy. It seems that this person was a little bit old based on the voice itself. The food in here ain't too good compared to the food on the outside world, does it? The man from the next cell continued. It's better than nothing. I really need to eat, and I don't have many options regarding what I can eat. William continued talking in a low voice as he ate the meal little by little. Heh, you're different from anyone in here, kiddo. So, what's your name? William swallowed his food and then said, William. Interesting. The name's Keith or D3305 in case you prefer that calling a name that those guys gave me, said Keith with a joking tone. What do you want? I'm just trying to eat my food here and just going to sleep for the rest of my day. If you don't mind, I'll continue my dinner here, said William. He was a bit annoyed because he couldn't get a break from all the things that had just happened today. All he wanted was just to end the day with sleep and forget about it afterward. Keith continued on, oh, nothing much. It's just that I find it really interesting that you just arrived in this place and had to go through a rough day on the first job. Really unfortunate for the other two mates that were here before you. Hearing this, William stopped eating for a moment and asked, how do you know? Keith chuckled and continued, the cell that you were in now was empty before, and I overheard that you're the new owner of that cell. It was pretty funny that you got a call on your first job not even hours later since your arrival and went out with two other people to assist you. William listened seriously to his explanation, then when you're back. I didn't hear the other two door cells being opened, which indicates that the most likely scenario to happen is that something must have gone wrong with the job, and you're the only one who survived the situation. Am I right? William was left speechless by Keith's words because he got every single thing correct just based on his hearing itself. You're quite perceptive, but you're right about that. William then continued to eat the food just as he was finished talking. Keith laughed for a bit and said, you're going to learn one or two things when you live this kind of living condition in the future. William was curious about this person named Keith, so he instinctively asked, how long have you actually been in this place? Keith hummed for a moment and then continued, I don't know. I lost count of how many days or even weeks I have been here. But what I can tell is I've been here for more than 3 months. Inside William's heart, he felt a slight relief knowing that this foundation doesn't terminate its D class once every month. It was better than nothing, even if it meant living with horror by facing those SCP every single day. He finished with his meal, took one big sip of water, washed his hand on the sink, and put away his tray in the corner of his cell. He then sat on the bed, leaning towards the wall where Keith's voice came from. So, what got you into this situation? William pondered. Let's just say it was for the reason of treason, Keith answered. William thought about it. The last time he asked this question, he made 2 of his working colleagues die because of an SCP. It was really unfortunate for them, and he guessed that there wasn't much time for them to know each other deeply because someone could die the next day. Keith then asked, what about you? What kind of things made you get in trouble to be here? William sighed, because of a stupid reason, they thought I'm one of the Chaos Insurgency members, and they didn't believe my story that I'm just a passerby. Is that so? Keith laughed for a moment hearing his answer, the usual guilty until proven innocent by the Foundation. Yeah, pretty sucks if you know about it. One moment you wake up out of nowhere, and the next thing that happens, you were caught by them. Shit happens. Sometimes even cops would do that if you were happened to be at the crime scene despite the fact that you've done nothing about it. That's life. Yeah, I guess so. William looked at the ceiling, thinking about what he should do later. There was no telling what he would face later the next day nor for how long he had to endure this new life. William then stood up from his bed, nice knowing you. I'm gonna hit the sack. God knows what happens to me next, but at least I had enough rest before it comes. Keith chuckled, of course, you'll need all your energy for the next job, kiddo. He walked up to the sink in his cell and turned on the tap. He brushed his teeth and washed his face. Then he looked at his own reflection in the mirror. Looking at his messy look in an orange jumpsuit, thinking that he's just going to live in this hell for a while. He was feeling really tired and walked his way to the bed. He got his foot slipped because he didn't pay attention to his steps and then fell from his knees, and his head hit the door sill with force. "You okay, kiddo?" asked Keith as he heard the bang on the door. William, in a dazed state, "Yeah, I'm fine. I slipped my foot on something." William touches his forehead, but there seems to be blood trickling down from there. He then hurriedly walked up to the mirror on the sink to check the wound, and he found that there was a slit on his forehead skin which caused the blood to be coming out from it. He washed his forehead to remove as much blood as possible before getting an infection. As he finished washing it down with water, that slit on his forehead was gone, and no blood was coming out from it again. The wound on his forehead had been completely gone. Creator's thoughts. Inakia. Don't forget to vote it with Power Stones and leave a comment if you like it. You can read up to 18 chapters before its release on patreon.com/Inakia and join my Discord https://discord.gg/7wezqmdti. Comment 8 comment. Vote 3 left. Chapter 10, Chapter 10 A Meeting. The wound that was on his forehead was completely gone without a trace, as if nothing really happened to him. He didn't feel dazed anymore, and no more blood was gushing through his head. It left William confused. Was he hallucinating? Something must have happened because this is not normal, even though it's good that his head wasn't injured anymore. One thing is for sure, that he didn't bang his head hard enough, making him knocked out, and he was in a dream all along. But then, William had a thought. Something that he thought to be impossible for it to happen. He grabbed his toothbrush from the sink and then scraped the ends of the toothbrush on the wall to sharpen it, creating a shiv from the toothbrush. It took him a while to sharpen the edges of the shiv, and then he took a deep breath. There was a slight doubt inside of him, but he needed to know if his assumptions and theory were correct regarding what happened to his wound on the forehead before. He braced himself up and cut his hand with it. He groaned in pain, knowing very well that blood was flowing through his hand because he had just cut it with a shiv that he had made. It might have felt that he had just done something stupid to his own hand, but a few seconds later, something happened to his hand that was visible to the naked eye. The wound on William's hand had just repaired by itself. The skin cells were growing at a fast rate. Stopped the blood that was flowing through his hand, and then the wound was gone in just about a minute. Knowing that his assumptions were correct, William laughed. It appears that he had obtained SCP-415's anomalous trait, which is regeneration. That explains why the wound on his forehead and hand was completely gone, because it was healed at a fast rate. William couldn't hold his excitement, knowing that he had this kind of ability right now, an ability to regenerate, which would be useful and increase his rate of survival for the next coming days. He couldn't be cocky just because he had this ability. But surely, this will be beneficial for him, including the knowledge that he had in his head regarding how things in the SCP universe work. He lay on the bed and felt a little relief. That his chance of survival as a D-class has increased for the next few days. He was curious if he could also obtain more abilities too from another SCP. 10:15 p.m., Site-199 conference room. A few people were sitting on their chairs, circling around a meeting table in the meeting room. They were waiting for someone, described by the projector in that room was still blank. A researcher came into the conference room with his laptop. Their eyes focused on that researcher that just put down his laptop on the desk. He seemingly tried to connect his laptop to the projector and get ready for a presentation. One of the researchers that were present said, "There should be a better reason for this, calling us late at night for a meeting." "Indeed I do, Dr. Smith. I have something that's pretty much going to be our tonight's discussion regarding what happened on SCP-173's containment cell," answered Dr. Wells as his eyes focused on the laptop preparing the presentation. "Is it about that failed procedure that the D-class personnel did not carry out correctly, where they were told to clean up the place?" Dr. Wells finishes typing, and he looks at Dr. Smith. "That was just a part of it. Something that's more questionable happened back then. He then grabs a projector remote and clicks it in his hand. This afternoon, SCP-173's temporary containment cell needed to be cleaned. We appointed 3D class personnel to take care of the job according to the procedures and just to be safe. On the projector, they were shown 3D class personnel that were tasked to do the job. That 3 personnel were D1092, D1020, and D1140. Now, failed procedures often happen because of the carelessness that was made by one of them, which caused 2 of them, D1020 and D1140, killed by SCP-173. We received the distress call made by D1140 and were alerted that something had gone wrong, but when we arrived, there was only D1092 left in the room. "What about D1092?" asked Dr. Smith. D1092 was the only survivor of that incident, which doesn't seem to raise many questions because we may have arrived before it's too late. But take a look at this. Dr. Wells pressed the remote and moved away. The projector shows a video recording from the SCP-173's containment cell, which only shows the part where only D1092 and SCP-173 are left in the room. They watched it carefully for any weird behavior, but there was a moment when SCP-173 was only a meter away from D1092, which put him in a bad situation. But in the next second, SCP-173 walked away from D1092, and the people who were present in the conference room were shocked. There was some absurdity regarding what happened at that moment. SCP-173 didn't attack him like it would attack the others. This was no mere coincidence, and it happens multiple times. Dr. Wells shows multiple pictures of SCP-173 and D1092's behavior. There is still no explanation as to why this event happened or what could make SCP-173's behavior change drastically. Which is why I'm holding a meeting right now to talk about it. He then shows a record of D1092. I've done a background research myself. There was never any record of D1092's information. According to a missing people database, no birth certificate, no fingerprints matched, and no matching characteristics or appearance that met his identity. Of course, all Chaos Insurgency members could easily erase any information about themselves for confidentiality, but there was never any information about him except the name William that he gave to us. If that is his real name. The researchers who were present were as confused as Dr. Wells, who saw the recording in the first place. Something that's considered unnatural according to its normal behavior just happened, and it involves D1092 to be part of it. Dr. Wells then continued, on top of that, we tried to scan with our OLF trace detector and found that the OLF residue fluctuates that are far from the value of 0, which suggests that this D1092 is not from our reality. There was an old man in a black suit on the farmost side of the table. He straightened his posture and said, "It is our mission to always contain something that couldn't be understood nor explained with our current logic. With that, we should do what we have always done." Creator's thoughts. Inakia. Don't forget to vote it with Power Stones and leave a comment if you like it. You can read up